Next on The Professional Rule Breaker. Today, I have a very special guest. He's a highly accomplished entrepreneur. So I know all my entrepreneur friends out there, your ears are perking up because this is the episode that is special for you. He is also an exceptional leader, and he has extensive experience in a bunch of different industries. He's the founder of Heroes Media Group, HMG Beverage, and the co-founder of JBADDO Clothiers. And he has made a significant impact in this entrepreneurial space. So I want to welcome my very special guest today, Mr. Adam Bird.
Well, I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
Of course, of course. I am happy to have you on here. I know we were talking a little bit in the pre-show that I had heard you talking about literally something that I say as well. Just do it.
Yeah.
And so I want to kind of start there with you. Tell me about your philosophy and what made you have that almost like motto.
That's a great question. I look back in my life and I feel very blessed to be where I'm at today. I spent about 9 years in the military. And when I got out, I went to different corporate jobs and I was a single parent. So I had custody of my son, and watching him grow up being in the corporate world, it was always when your child got into extracurricular sport, whether it was sports or choir or band or whatever they get into, it asked permission to leave work so you could go to their functions.
It's heartbreaking. I
I
mean,
wasn't I wasn't I wasn't good at asking. It was more
yeah,
of like, I'm telling you I'm leaving work because I'm not missing my kid stuff. And as a employer, that gets to be a problem. Um, it was right around that time where I was like, this is not the path that God wants me on. I've always felt like I was supposed to have my own business. I've had some side gigs in my early 20s, and I was really just at that time getting into radio and internet radio and stuff like that. So this is 2011, 2012 timeframe. And finally I just said, to hell with it. I'm doing this. If I'm going to make a run at this, I need to do it now. And my son was in junior high and he was playing sports and I had him very busy. But being very busy, I kept asking, hey, I got to go. I got to go. And they're like, hey, you got another hour left to work. And it was like, give the middle finger. I'm not doing it. I'm leaving. It's like,
that's
between you or my son. Like, I'll find a way to make money. You're not telling me I can't go to watch my kid. Like, that's not happening. So I took that leap of faith, and it was it's always scary because there's always that uncertainty. Like, so many people are like, oh, I would love to do that. So do it. What's stopping you
right.
from doing
What's holding them back,
it?
right?
I'm not sure. Let me stop you right there. There's no certainties in life. You just have to do it. Here's the thing. We all know what the end result is going to be in life. Eventually you're going to die.
Eventually,
So
yes.
so let's
We
fast
all get
forward.
there.
Let's fast forward to that for a second, and let's think about that. When you're on your deathbed, can you look back on your life and you say, "Oh, I wish I would have taken that step, or I wish I would have done this."
Right. Or I wish I would have stayed at work longer and
Yeah,
missed my
yeah,
son's game
yeah.
or whatever it is. I mean,
You,
I can so relate to what you're saying because I also come from the corporate world. I was told not to get pregnant. I was told not to get right. I know that's
that's
shocking.
a ballsy. Excuse my language, but that's a ballsy statement to make to anybody.
Yeah.
I'm a
And the
man.
funny
I've been
thing,
married before. Like, that's. I certainly would not say that to a woman.
no, and it was a woman that said it to me, which is even more shocking. So, me being the rule breaker that I was, and I don't know if anybody's ever heard this story. I don't think anybody has on my podcast, but I decided, okay, so what can we do? If they're saying don't get pregnant because I was wildly successful, I gathered up probably, I think we had 4 or 5 other females about the same age. And we came up with a plan for all of us to get pregnant at the same time. Because if we all get pregnant at the same time, they can't fire us all. And granted, theoretically, they couldn't fire us for getting pregnant, but they would find a way,
Right.
some other way.
Of course.
And I think it was 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 5 of us all got pregnant at the same time. So obviously that statement of don't get pregnant, but I had the exact same thing too, where I wanted to go to my kids' basketball, like their first basketball game or whatever. I mean, I moved heaven and earth to be able to get there.
Yeah.
And I was very lucky because being in sales, you have a little bit more control of your schedule. And I was working around the clock anyway. So, they really couldn't say anything. But for the folks that have that same feeling, like what you just said, right? Where they're asking, or saying, gosh, I wish I could do that. What's your advice to them? Hey there, I am all about making a big difference. So I am so excited about announcing our podcast sponsor for today. They are the very last U.S. family-owned manufacturer of consumer goods products. And best of all, their products are healthier and safer for you and just really amazing quality. And I can do all the things that I do if I really wasn't health conscious. So this is very near and dear to my heart because they are healthier and safer for you. And best of all, they will not break the bank. So if you're interested in finding out more information and switching your shopping to something that is non-toxic and healthier for you, go to switchaway.com/rule breaker, and one of my friends will reach out to you. And just let's work all together to see if we can make an impact and switch to healthier and safer products. And of course, supporting small businesses. So again, drop your information at switchaway.com/rule breaker.
Here's the thing. You're always going to be conflicted because you're going to look at it like, well, I have a job. I got to keep the roof over my head. I got to put food on the table, clothes on their backs. I've been there. I get it. But here's the thing. You'll always find a way to make money.
If you want it bad enough.
You'll always find a way to get what you need if you want it bad enough. You have to believe in it. You have to believe and you have to have faith. And I think that was, for me, luckily, that was a true testament that I was pretty strong on my faith. I had no idea. Like, I'll never forget the day I quit my corporate job. It was April 1st of 2013. It was April Fool's Day. And everybody thought it was a joke. And I kind of, looking back, and hindsight's always 2020.
But isn't it funny how you remember that? Because I remember my date too.
And it was like, I walked in the office 20 minutes late and they didn't care because I was just like, there was no discipline or anything in that place. I walked in, I gathered all my stuff, and then I walked out. And they were like, "Where are you going?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm quitting. I'm done." And they're like, "Why?" And I was like, "Because you guys are idiots." I remember I was like, "You guys are idiots." And I walked out.
That is the best response ever.
He called me 20 minutes later. He's like, "Hey, so where'd you go?" And I was like, I quit, dude. And he was just like, "Oh, we thought it was April Fool's." I was like, "Yeah, joke's on you. I'm done. I'm tired of doing your job, not getting paid for it." And I said, "I'm not asking for permission anymore. I'm doing me." And then the next morning, that's like when, that initial shock when reality hits you. You're like, I have a mortgage, I have 3 vehicles, and I'm a single parent, and I have no money in the bank, and I just quit my job. Like, stuff just got real. And it didn't matter. It didn't matter to me. I didn't care because I didn't care if I was homeless. As long as I had my son,
That was
I didn't care what life threw. I did not care what life threw at me. Didn't care. The only thing I cared about was the well-being of my son. And I would have walked on broken glass barefoot around the world a million times if I had to.
Yeah. But don't you think sometimes when your back is up against the wall, and I'm not telling people to go quit their job because I'm not.
Yeah, I'm certainly not saying that. Don't do what I did. That's not.
But there are ways that you can transition if
Yes.
that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
But I also think sometimes when your back is against the wall, and maybe your back is against the wall at your job because the environment's really toxic, or you can't, you have no time for your family or whatever it might be. But I think when your back is against the wall, that's when great things happen.
Oh yeah.
If you allow it and if you believe, because you said you have to believe. So, how do we get people to believe?
You, that's the big question, right? How do you believe? How do you believe in yourself? How do you believe? If you have a vision, again, it goes back to what is it that you're actually afraid of? Are you afraid of succeeding? Because that's what it is for most people. I don't want to quit this steady job, even though I hate it with every ounce of my being, but I don't know what's over here. They say, well, they always say the grass is greener, but when then I get there, it's never there. Well, if you think you're going to go over there and you're going to be in this amazing pasture full of roses and flowers and all this other stuff, that's not going to happen. You got to till the earth a little bit and then water it and cultivate it and let it grow. But eventually, it'll be the best decision you make. Now, I want to go back to something that you said. And when we said, like, don't quit, don't quit your job. I'm certainly not encouraging anybody to do that. I got lucky. And I say that very humbly. I got lucky. I had a good support system. I went to my pop and I asked him, expecting my dad to tell me, you go back to corporate, don't quit your job, go back to corporate, make amends with them, do whatever, work 20 years, retire and die, kind of a thing. And he sat down, I'll never forget, we were sitting at a bar having a beer, and he says, I don't think you should go back to corporate.
Oh,
And
I
I'm
love
like, oh my God, like this is not, I'm sitting here expecting you to tell me to go back to corporate and do this and that and whatever. And now you're telling me not to do that. He's like, I believe in you. And that was just like, and that actually, it was a cool thing. It brought our relationship closer. If I saw that if my dad believed in me, I was like, okay, I'm onto something here. I have to make this work. Like failure is no option. And I'm okay with failure. Don't get me wrong. That's what it was. And for those of you that are listening out there, if you have something that you're passionate about, maybe you have a side gig and eventually you want to make that your full time, keep working at it. But here's the thing. You work that 9 to 5 or whatever it is, you work your 40 hours a week, and at night, put the kids to bed. And from 8 to midnight, guess what you're doing? You're hustling. You're doing your side gig. You're making sure you're creating emails or funnels or whatever it is that your side hustle is. But you're going to put those hours in. If you're passionate enough and you want it bad enough, doesn't matter. Oh, I'm tired the next day. Great. You'll sleep this weekend when you have off.
right, exactly. Or I have a friend that says you could sleep when you're dead.
Yeah.
That's the other
Yeah.
thing as
Sleep's
well.
overrated. You only need about 4 hours. Go. What are you waiting for?
Yeah,
Right.
it definitely is. At least some days it is, but some days
Yeah.
it's definitely not. But it's so interesting because my mom used to say the same thing too. She's like, you need to quit your job. You're going to die because you are working too hard.
I
And I think she was seeing that even though I was trying to do it all, be the super mom and the super wife and the super salesperson and super employee for my company, at the same time, I wasn't being super for myself
right.
and not feeding your soul. And I think, especially if you have a real entrepreneurial spirit, if you're not doing that, that part of you kind of begins almost not, I wouldn't say necessarily to die, but dwindle, right?
Right.
So if it is something that you really have a desire for, do exactly what Adam said. You got time after work, you got time during the weekend. If you want it bad enough, I always say when there's a will, there's a way. I make things non-negotiable. And I think that's kind of what you did, is that you made it non-negotiable that this was going to work.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have a choice. Like, again, I didn't care what happened to me. It was more about my focus was on my son, who was very young at the time still, and looking back on it, just turned 21. He's in college now. So I look at it like, did I do the right thing? Was it easy? No, it wasn't. It sucked going through it, but was it worth it in the end? Oh, I'd do it all over again and twice on Sunday. It's, you have to find I guess really throughout that process too, I found my purpose in life and what I was passionate about. I was passionate about helping other people. And then that passion really became the purpose where now I get to help other people get to where they want to go in the process. You can't do that. I've seen, and there's nothing against, listen, I want to be very clear on something, everybody. I am not against anybody working corporate jobs. I'm not. I believe in that.
Because we need that. We need
We
that.
need that. There are people that, for me, that didn't work. And here's my thought process on that is I saw a man who means the world to me, worked a corporate job for 29 years, was getting ready to retire, and they forced him into early retirement. And
Hmm.
he wasn't ready for that.
Yeah, I've seen the same.
I've seen other people, they get up there and then they give some BS excuse to fire you or let you go so they don't have to pay you your full retirement. That's the ugliness of corporate. I work for myself. Hey, if I want to eat this month, I'm going to bust my butt to make sure. Oh, you got a mortgage payment, you got a car payment. I have to work. I don't have a choice. But here's the thing. I can't point the finger at anybody else. I got to look at the man in the mirror every day. And I would rather put it on myself than rely on someone else to say, here's this, here's that, or grow somebody else. You know, you hear that. I know, I'm sure you've heard of this. Are you going to build your own dream or are you going to be busy building somebody else's?
That is the best saying ever. And I think if people take the time to just really ponder that, are you going to be building somebody else's dream or are you going to build your own? If you ask yourself that question, let's say you are in the corporate world or wherever you are, you're working for someone, but yet you have a burning desire to do something else. Ask yourself that question. Again, don't quit your job. We're not saying quit your job, but ask yourself that question. And I think that statement alone can be a really big driving force, right? Every single day. You could start off the morning because I think it's really important to start off with an intention every single morning of whatever it is. Today, it could be something as simple for people that need to bring revenue into their business. Today, I'm going to call 10 potential clients, or it could be today, I'm going to focus on the things that are going to build my revenue, or I'm going to focus on the things to lower my operating costs, whatever it is. Or today, I'm just going to focus on having a happy day.
You got to be positive through the
Mhm.
process. It's not easy. I think, and the other part of this is being an entrepreneur. If it was easy, everybody would do it, right?
Right?
You have to, there is we've heard of a lot like law of attraction and stuff like that. Those of us that are a little more, I'm a little more seasoned in age and whatnot. So I look back on like The Secret and the Law of Attraction, Dale Carnegie, and you read
Mhm.
Napoleon Hill, you thinking about these self-help books and stuff and how your body reacts to things. You know, if you're positive and you put out that positive energy, that it does attract. It seems kind of, some people are, that's kind of wonky. And really,
I'm a true believer in that.
it
I'm
really took me a long
true.
time to do it. And then I started playing the game. Like I'd be in a building and I'd guess which I'd say that's the elevator that's going to open, or this is the parking spot. Like the parking, I use the parking spot stuff
I do
now.
that all the time. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, 'cause I never park way out in BFE anyway. I think as entrepreneurs, though, those that are listening that are current entrepreneurs or you're thinking about starting your own business, you have to be positive and you have to understand that things are going to happen and you're going to have bad days. But here's the cool thing about it is tomorrow is a new day and you get to wake up. And if you're passionate about what it is that you're doing, then it's not really work. It just like it elevates your life so much more doing what you love to do. It's not easy. There are days where I'm just like, oh, why am I doing this? Like I need to just go back.
But you know what? You would have that same feeling probably, right? If
Oh
you were
yeah,
working for
absolutely.
someone else.
But when I get those days like that, I'll get like, oh, I'm done. I'm done with this. I quit. Woe is me. You're gonna have those pity parties. You will have them.
But it's
But then you get an email or you get a phone call or a text message from somebody, and you're just like, yeah, okay, I can't quit. This is why I'm doing this.
it's that resilience, I
Yeah,
think, makes a difference on whether you're going to be successful or not.
yeah.
Being able to bounce back, because you're right, everybody has a bad day. But, just think about it. If you relate back to if you have children or even just thinking of yourself, When you were young and you didn't walk and you tried to learn to walk, how many times did you fall? Right? A
Mhm.
bunch. What if you just said after you fell down one time, that's it. I'm done. I am not doing this anymore. This is too hard. Well, then you would never walk, right? But what
Yeah.
happens with the kids, right? They get up, they laugh, they get at it, they go again. And that's really almost like how we have to be, is almost have like, hey, yeah, that happened. Laugh about it, let it roll off your shoulders, learn from it, right? Whatever that is, and then just keep on going. And the other thing that I would love your take on is, don't you think it's kind of important to surround yourself, it's you have to be positive, you have to keep it moving, but
Hmm.
surround yourself with people that support you, like your dad, right? He believed in you. Because
Yeah.
if you're around a bunch of naysayers saying, hey, this is never going to work, what do you think's going to happen?
Yeah, it's not it, you're going to have to cut people out of your life, and here's the thing. There are going to be people that are very, very close to you that you're going to have to just I'm not telling you cut them out of your life completely. Like, you just don't surround yourself with them. You don't tell them certain things about what it is that you're doing or whatnot, because they always got something negative to say. And you know what? Let them. It's their
Right.
opinion, because all it is their opinion, and they're entitled to their opinion. They can have their opinion. That doesn't mean you need to accept it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Absolutely love that. I know you and I were talking a little bit about, like, you got tired of living, and not necessarily, what was the term you used? Not living on the street, but literally watching things go by.
I was standing, I picture, I'm a very visual person, right? So picture yourself, and those of you that are listening, maybe, if you're not driving and just sitting in a chair, close your eyes. Um, and if you're driving, be careful.
Yeah, don't do
Um, yeah.
that.
Picture yourself on a street corner of your favorite city somewhere, right? And you're watching people walk by, and you're at an intersection on the street corner, and you're watching things go by, and you see these things that are things in life that you have wished for at some point or another. And you're like, oh, I would have loved to have that. And it's already gone by you. And you're like, oh, it's a missed opportunity. Well, the reason why is because you didn't step out, and you didn't step off that ledge to get it. You didn't grab it. You didn't bother reaching for it. You're just watching it pass. You're not doing anything to grab a hold of those things. Another analogy I like to use is you're standing on a cliff, and you decide to you have to take that leap of faith. You can't see the bottom. You have no idea what's underneath you. You're going to fall. You're going to hit the rocks. You're going to get bumped. You're going to get bruised, but eventually you're going to learn how to fly, and you're going to soar higher than any heights that you even thought were imaginable, because you took that first step. You took that leap of faith. But I guarantee you one thing. I guarantee you this is a sure thing. If you don't take that first step, or you don't take that leap, you won't get a damn thing.
That's right.
So
Mm, that
you have to ask yourself, what do you want out of life? And are you willing to take that leap? It's that simple. You just make it harder than it needs to be.
I want everybody to think about that, because that is so profound, actually. Mic drop moment. Definitely a mic drop moment. Maybe that's something that people should be asking themselves in the morning. Are you ready to step off the ledge and just go for it? Whatever it is. Because even sometimes I find in sales, and the people that I coach, it's more the fear of just going out there and just doing it. And then once they start doing it, all the fear goes away.
Can I ask something?
Mhm.
But what's the fear? A
The
fear that somebody might say yes? A fear that you might be successful?
That, it's funny
Fear
because
of
I think
rejection?
sometimes that's exactly what it is. Their fear that they're even afraid that somebody's going to pick up the phone when they call.
So
The wa-
can I real quick? I love that you said that. So here's the thing. We'll keep the sales side of this. You're going to get rejected. It's a guarantee.
Mhm.
So look at it from a numbers perspective then. If you have to make let's say 80 phone calls to talk to 5 people. And out of those, and you're confident, you're a confident salesperson. You believe in the product that you're selling, right? You need to dial the phone 80 times to talk to 5 people. Out of those 5 people, you're going to get probably 2 that really want to commit. And out of those 2, you're guaranteed at least 1.
Mhm.
So if you know that you're confident in your sales ability that you could sell 1, then you know, well, I got to dial the phone at least 80 times. Out of those 80 times, I'm going to talk to 5 people. 3 probably going to say no right off the bat. It's not no, it's just no right now. Doesn't mean they're not going to be ready
Right,
later.
exactly.
It's just now is not a good time. And out of the 2 that say yes, 1 of those is going to commit today.
Mhm.
All of a sudden, it doesn't look that bad.
It doesn't look that bad, and you can almost set it up like a game. Like it's a count every no, you're like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I got another no. Let's go." And do the next one. The other thing too is when people have a fear is they are solely focused on themselves. If they have that fear. And what I always tell people, the minute you start focusing on the customer and what their needs or wants and how you're helping them, the fear goes away. It really, really does. It turns almost into a connection, a conversation, rather than I'm trying to sell you something.
Right.
It's more I'm really here to help you.
Right.
And people respond to that a lot better than, trying to get something hammered over the head just for some sort of quick sale.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
so I want to ask you about Heroes Media Group. Tell me about that.
Started off as a podcasting network in 2015. I had another company. We just rebranded. So prior to that, so I started the first all veteran podcast network in 2012 with a friend of mine at the time. And in 2015, I rebranded. We decided to go different ways. So I rebranded to Heroes Media Group. And at the first, it was all veteran kind of related. In 2015, I opened it up. I wanted community heroes. You had people in law enforcement, firefighters, the first responders community, and that's starting to be more and more of a big thing now. But I also opened it up to educators, teachers, and then there was a clergy piece there as well. It quickly became more than just a podcast network. It became a full-blown digital media and publishing company pretty quickly. I started off with 3 shows. We got over 50 now, and we've had more than that, shows come and go. But I help people with their podcasts, whether you're just starting off or you're a 7-figure business, and we've got some DoD contractors that we work with the government and stuff on some of their podcasts and stuff. So it's been an interesting road the last going on 9 years. Shortly after we made the transition to Heroes Media Group, I had a friend of mine reach out and says, "Hey, I got this book and I want to do an audio book," and never done that. And I was like, he's like, "You think you can help?" I was like, no different than podcasting, I'm sure. Yeah. So we started our audiobook or our publishing arm of it. So we do probably about 3 books a year now. And that's another big thing that we do. And it's been fun. And the really cool thing about it is I'm not out there. You don't see me, I do a show every week talking about the shows that are on the network. And it's not about me. Everybody says you're kind of the face of HMG because I founded it. I get that. It's a necessary evil for me. I'm more of a behind the scenes kind of a guy, but I would rather promote the people that believe in my vision, and those that are on the network took that leap and had that faith in me to help them get to where they want to go. And I think that's one of the greatest honors I've had in my life is seeing that so many people believe in the vision that I have and that they want to play a part of that vision to help other people and just to make the world a better place.
Well, I think it's important to celebrate heroes. And I feel that's what your network does is really celebrate heroes. And a hero can be anybody.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean, obviously, we have really wonderful heroes from people that served, but anyone can be a hero if you're helping someone out there.
exactly. Exactly. It was the mindset was change the dynamic of how media was delivered and consumed. And what I mean by that, I think you and I would agree to this, and I'm sure a lot of your listeners would probably agree that there's a lot of negativity with how media is delivered and consumed today in the world. So let's change that. I actually, and here's a funny story for your listeners. About 4 years ago, I had a business or an investor come up and ask me to buy the company or wanted to grow the company, and he offered me a pretty substantial amount of money to do it. It definitely would have changed my life quite a bit. And he's like, but you got to get off this positivity trip.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, he says, and I quote, he says, it's not sexy. Negativity sells. And I'll refrain from my comment, but I'll just kind of in a very brief way, I said, thanks, but no thanks. But I threw in some colorful words there and said, your money's not good to me.
Mhm.
And he's like, you're making the biggest mistake of your life. And I said, no, I'd be making it if I turned over this vision to some sleazebag like you. Have a
Yeah,
nice day. And that was it.
absolutely.
And I stand by that because I honestly think we didn't get to where we're at today overnight. I'm going on 9 years under this brand, and we're probably not even close to the tip of the iceberg of what we're going to do with this company. And my vision of this is this will still be around when I'm dead and gone. But
I love,
it's gonna
I
have
love,
that impact. It's gonna have the impact of positivity on people.
because I think that's what I've gotten off of it when I have listened is the positivity, and that's what the world needs right now. And again, to honor the heroes, and can be everyday heroes as well. So I know you're a rule breaker because even just your live shows, you come off as a major rule breaker. So what makes you
What?
a rule breaker? Yeah, what? I think you wrote something about
No idea what you're
I
talking about.
do things my way, period. Don't be a sheep. Oh my gosh, the best line ever.
I'm not one that likes to follow a crowd. I'm probably one like if I see the crowd coming towards me, I'm gonna walk right through them. I'll go the opposite direction. Or another, imagery thing is you're on a path, right? And you come to that fork in the road and you see people going down, the paved road because it's easy. And then there's a trail off to the left and you see a couple people going down that. I'm the type of guy that I will look in the forest. I'm an outdoors guy and I'll see the thickest part of the woods and I'll go through that and I'll start, chopping and making my way through that just because. And somebody once said, it's like, you like to make things harder on yourself, don't you? I was like, I will take something hard and I will prove to everybody that I can make it harder just to prove a point. I'm stubborn that way. And I fully accept that. I embrace it. I love one of the things I love about myself, quite frankly, but you tell me I can't do something and there's a
Oh my
good chance
gosh.
that I'm probably going to do it or attempt to do it.
That's I always just bait people. Just tell me I can't do it.
Yeah.
Because then for
Yeah.
sure.
That's to me, and it's not because I don't want your listeners to think, well, this guy's kind of arrogant. That's not it. That's not it. You have, for me, it's kind of an adrenaline rush for me. Like now I just want to see if I can do it because somebody said I can't,
Mhm.
and and it's not everything, but if it's something that I believe in, you say, well, you're never going to be like that. Yeah. Oh, I feel bad for you, dude, because I'm about to show you that I can.
I would say like minds when it comes to that. So Adam, tell me where people can find you.
All over social media. You can find Heroes Media Group. It's at Heroes Media GRP on every social platform, or you can find me personally at Mr. Adam Bird on all the social platforms.
I'm so thrilled I was able to have you
I
on this
appreciate it.
show.
Thank you.
I think you had some really amazing mic drop messages that I hope everyone was able to grab onto. And for everybody that's out there that's listening, You know how big I am about having you believe in yourself, and you have something very special. And like what Adam said a little bit earlier, are you going to build someone else's dream, or are you going to build your dream? Are you standing on the ledge looking and waiting and letting things pass you by, or are you going to jump in? So again, go out there, make a difference. Remember, it's just like throwing a rock into a stream and creating a ripple and making a big difference in this world. So I really want to thank my guest, Adam Bird, and all his information will be in the show notes, so you can always just reach out to him. And again, Adam, thank you for being such a wonderful guest.
Thank you very much.